All right, so we are going to talk now about how to write the names and formulas of covalently bonded compounds. So we're going to write the names and formulas of molecules. All right. Now, doing this, it just involves following a set of rules, these are actually pretty straightforward and simple. It involves using these prefixes here, which you are very familiar with already, thankfully, because you've been in math class at some point in your life, probably. So you should hopefully have like seen a few of these, penta is a five-sided thing, like octa, hexa, tri. I mean, triangle, it's three sides. You never think about why it's called tri. Tri means three. So that's what we're going to be looking at. So this is just going to be naming and writing the formulas of covalent compounds. Sometimes these are called molecular compounds. I call them covalent compounds because they're covalently bonded, and I don't think we need to introduce another term. You hear the term molecule plenty. So the way it's going to work, it's pretty simple. All right, these are all going to involve just pretty much two things bonded together, and I just want to show you some examples, like basic examples of how this works. And you're going to use prefixes to write the names and stuff, and it's really straightforward. And you honestly already have a pretty good idea of it. So let me show you just the simplest example I can think of. Now these are just made up compounds, just to kind of show you some examples here. So let's look at like C2H6. All right. So first, these are covalent compounds. They're all going to be nonmetals to nonmetals. Remember, that's covalent, nonmetal to nonmetal. So the way you will do this, the first thing you're going to do, all right, you are going to use prefixes to identify how many of each element you have in the formula. So like we've got carbon here, right? So, and I'm going to sort of do some notes here. So use prefixes. How many atoms of each element that you have. So use prefixes to identify how many atoms of each element that you have. So it's really simple. So you'll use the prefix, then you'll write the element name. All right, so for the first one, it's going to be, you got C2. So the prefix for carbon, and it's included on your little practice sheet here, is di. Sometimes you'll see it written as bi, but it's usually going to be di. So di, so you'll just write di, and then you'll just write the element name, carbon. All right, simple as that. You don't need to worry about capitalization or anything, if that's a question that you were going to ask. For the elements, you obviously do, and the formulas, but not in the names. Now H6, so that's hydrogen, right? So what is 6 is hexa. So you'll write hexa. Now, there is one other little thing, though. You're going to change the ending of the second element, or we said the last element, whatever, the second element, to end in IDE. So that means, so like hydrogen, I'm writing examples so that you can like see it when I put these on the website too. So hydrogen gets changed to hydride. So instead of writing dicarbon hexa hydrogen, you're going to write hexa hydride. You don't need to put a period. I don't know why I did that. I mean, it's just that simple. That's literally the whole lesson, basically. I'm sure some of you could go and do the entire worksheet now based on that. But I'm going to do more examples because, yeah, obviously, more examples are important. So let's do another example. Let's look at what's another good one. Actually, let's do another one that'll focus on. Sure, we'll do that. All right. Well, this is just made up compound. So So N3O4. So write the name of that. So, oh, and just, I guess before we even get into this, let's make sure you understand. So this right here, this is a formula. So like this thing here, these are formulas. This thing right here, this is a chemical name. I just want to make sure you understand, what's what. So these are chemical names here. This is a formula. The formula is the stuff with like the subscripts and everything. The name is the thing with like the words. I mean, it's kind of obvious, but it's good to say. So I don't know why I do that. It's bothering me. So anyway, let's write the name of this now. So the way it'll work again, you're going to say, okay, we got a 3, so it'll be tri. Then you write nitrogen. Then you got a 4. That'll be tetra. If you look at your chart, so tetra. Prefix chart, tetra. And then you're going to write, instead of oxygen, you're going to write oxide. Okay, you're going to write oxide. Pretty simple. Now, let's flip it around, though, and what if we were to go from name to formula? Well, thankfully, it's pretty much even easier than that. Oh, wait, no. Before we do that, let's do one more example, because there's a very specific thing I want to address here. So final example of names. So let's talk about CO2. Probably heard of that one before. Carbon dioxide, right? So we know this formula is carbon dioxide. Now think about it though. How many of these carbons do you have here? You only have 1. What is the prefix for 1? It's mono. So you'll notice that the name is carbon dioxide, and that's right. So there's a little thing you got to know. If you have a compound where the first element, so I'm going to write a little thing. If the first element is 1, is only 1, then don't add a prefix. So we got CO2. You basically don't say monocarbon dioxide. So you don't write monocarbon dioxide. You just write carbon dioxide. And you're going to see that a lot. So if the first element is 1, that just means it's 1. You don't add a prefix. All right, simple as that. Now let's do the opposite, and let's go from name to formula, which is just truly simple. So let's say we've got some more examples. Say we've got penta, carbon, heptoxide. So the only real challenge with these, I guess, is making sure you can recognize what the elements are with the names changed to IDE. But I mean, it spells it out for you. You're like penta. You're like, okay, what do we got? Penta is 5, right? So you write C5. Heptoxide. So you're like, okay, I mean, like hepta. You got to look up hepta, and you're like, oh, it's 7. All right. So you'll write 07. Done. That's it. Nothing to it. That's all you got to do. So this worksheet that you're going to work on, the biggest challenge on this worksheet, honestly, is a lot of kids they always wonder where antimony is. That's always a fun one, because the very first problem is like, where's antimony? And it's like right here on the table. But like it's kind of, you could almost argue it's a ionic compound. It's really close, but whatever. So like, but we'll just bond it covalently and write it. So you'd be like SB, and notice there's no prefix there, so it's just 1. Tribromide. So you're like, oh, Br3. Simple as that. All right, and you're just going to do that for all of these. When you get down to here, you're going to be writing the names. All right, and then this part here, it says write the names for each of the following formulas. No, there's a few that you can cross off here. So you can cross off number 7 right here. I mean, I'm going to go do it on the Google Doc just in case I forget. So this would not make any sense. Nope. So if you're watching this, but then I somehow forget to do it in the Google Doc, I just want to make sure. And then these on the back, you don't have to do. I'm going to change that so it'll be something slightly different. But just in case you happen to look at this and you're trying to do it while I do the video. That's the basic idea, all right? You're just going to go through and do this, all right? Please let me know if you have questions.